Welcome back to Adorama TV and to the bushes outside the front door to my studio right next to Interstate 4. We are doing something very fun today. We are going to photograph Maud, our awesome model, in extremely adverse conditions. We are going to be in a noisy place. We're going to do our best with the audio, so bear with me there. I'm going to use every tool at my disposal to make this sound really good. But we are going to be photographing in a place that isn't super attractive. It's sort of like there's a dumpster and asphalt and a fence and then just some overgrown bushes. But we're going to do a really cool shot for Maud's fitness brand. And we're going to make it right here, just in this little corner. Now, the thing I wanted to show you isn't how to make a cool shot in a difficult place, because I think that there are literally dozens, maybe hundreds of YouTube videos out there about that exact same thing. What I want to show you is different ways to use flash in this situation and how to do it quickly. I want you to learn from me in this video how I set things up and meter and execute flash images, off-camera flash versus natural light very, very quickly. Sometimes when you're on a location shoot and it's run and gun, it can be very time consuming to go and measure everything and to meter everything and to make sure everything's perfect. So I've got a few different methods, a few different tricks up my sleeve to show you how to nail off-camera flash on location and even how to make it look not like flash, as much like natural light as you possibly can. So we've got Caleb running the camera today for us. We've got the incredible Maud Turner is our model. And we've got all of the links to all of the gear, which isn't a lot, that I'm going to be using in the description of this video. So let's get started with our first shot using available light. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a natural light photo in a complex lighting situation. When you have harsh light everywhere, I think our first instinct is to go to open shade, to find a shady spot and make an image there. So let me do that first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a meter reading with my Sekonic light meter right underneath Maud's chin there to get a sense of what light is falling on her face. And right there, we've got f4. So that's perfect. I'm going to set my camera to that, put the camera settings on the screen in case you need them. And I'll go ahead and then give that image a go. Maud, give me an arm cross, like a good powerful one. This is kind of a fitness vibe to this shoot. And let's go ahead and grab a couple images using this awesome available light. Tilt this way just a little bit, chin up in power. Come take a 2-inch step forward for me. There we go. All right, we got this dappling of light that's driving me a little crazy. Go back just a little bit. I want to get it off your face. Keep going back. Okay, that's fine. There we go. And bam. Well done. Okay, so now if you take a look at those images, you're going to see that it's a good exposure, that everything looks pretty good. There's a decent direction to the light. What is really missing is something in my subject here is incredible. She's got the most incredible eyes. She's got great hair. She's got really beautiful skin tone. And in this lighting situation, none of that's really coming across. And so the way that I can remedy that is adding some light that I can control. So I'm going to take this beauty dish and I'm just going to very gently bring a little bit of light across into it. And I'm going to do that by using the TTL or through the lens feature of this light. Essentially what that means is that the light is going to talk to the camera and they're going to decide what to do. Now, right now, I've got my camera set to what it thinks is a great exposure. Because I use my light meter, it's going to look at it, it's going to say that's properly exposed. So that light's actually not going to kick in that much power, right? So what I want to do in order to get it to add a little more light, to bring down everything else in the image, to make everything dark, I'm going to change my exposure from f4 to f4.5. That's just a tiny bit of difference, but I'm now slightly underexposing the image. Then I'm going to add this light in TTL mode. Now, this light and this camera, theoretically, should be able to talk to each other and go, hey, this is a tiny bit underexposed, and it'll add a little bit of light. But you're going to see a big difference in the image. Let's see what that looks like right now. Okay, Maud, same thing, exact same pose if you don't mind. Give me that arm cross, a little turn this way. Perfect. And we're going to see what this light can do. Boom, nicely done. Chin up just a little bit. Well done. I'm going to take a slight step to the left here. Chin forward and up in power just a little bit. Bam. And one more. Great. All right, so you're going to be able to see from the image that now I have a really great direction of light on her. and it doesn't have an overly flash look, and she's going to stand out quite a lot more in the image than she did before. And I've got really precise control now over the color temperature of the light that's hitting her skin, which is going to make for an image that's going to be just a little more poppy and a little more interesting to look at. Now, there's one more thing I wanted to show you in this situation, besides just learning how to use TTL effectively. That's starting with a good exposure and controlling it and tricking the light into firing the amount of light that we want, right? But now I'm going to actually use this harsh sunlight as part of the equation instead of hiding from it in open shade. All right, so I'm going to have Maud step out into the sunshine, and I'm going to turn this sunlight into light that's going to light up her hair. So let's see how we do that. All right, so I'm going to go into a slightly advanced move here where I'm going to use the harsh sunlight as the hair light on my subject. So here's the thing you don't want to do. You don't want to blow out the highlights in this. You want to make sure you preserve those, because honestly, the brightest thing in this situation, if you're not careful, is going to be that full sun just hitting the back of your subject's head. So I want to know how powerful that light is and build the rest of my exposure around it. So the first thing I'm going to do is position Maud where the sun is acting as a hair light and an edge light on her. And then I'm going to take my light source. This is going to be the Explorer 600 Pro TTL2 with the 28-inch beauty dish and the white sock. And I'm going to put that on the opposite side that the sun is coming from, because it's pretty low and hot over here in the sky. So my main light's on the opposite side of that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I need to know how bright that sun is. So I'm going to meter that sunlight that's hitting the back of her head, right? So we're going to try that. All right. Now that's telling me that it's about f11, which is pretty bright, and that's okay. I just know now what I have to match. So I want the highlights in this situation, because this is going to be kind of like a real high contrast kind of fitness brand headshot, and then like maybe a big banner image for a website. And so I want the highlights to be pretty bright. And so in this case, I want them to be maybe one stop brighter than the light that I'm going for on my subject. And so in that case, if this is going to be f11, I'm going to set my camera's aperture to f8. And so I'll throw all the camera settings on the screen there, but her hair is metering at f11 on the back of her head. That's the bright sunlight. And I'm going to make sure that I expose for her face one stop kind of darker than that, because I really want those bright highlights to pop out. So I set my camera to f8. And those highlights are f11. They're going to appear to be brighter than the light that's hitting your face, and that's on purpose. All right. So now that that's done, we've got our light now is set to TTL. So it's going to look at this, and it's going to say, you've exposed this for f8, and it's going to put in the appropriate amount of light on her face, because without that flash firing, she is going to be well underexposed. So let's show you what that looks like. So you're going to see that I've got the highlights exposed, but her face is way too dark. So I need to add light in there. And so by adding this strobe to it, setting it to TTL, theoretically, using that power, it should talk to the camera and it should pump in the requisite amount of light to bring her face up to the correct exposure. So let's see if it works. Boom. All right, that's our test. And absolutely bang on perfect. Because if you know how TTL works, you can make it do it for you. Now, in this scenario, running and gunning with a client, I would position her, meter the back of her head, point the light at her, and I'd set it to TTL and rock and roll all in about 60 seconds. It's a really quick setup. Measure the brightest light you want to build everything around in this situation, and then the TTL will fill in the rest. So let's actually make the shot. So I'm going to get down low here to give some power and presence to the image. And then Maud, go ahead and give me that kind of Wonder Woman pose, hands on the waist there. That's great. And I'm going to go a little bit lower and get some of this in the sky. Tilt your head a little bit this way and then bring that chin up. And then here we go. And I'm letting a little bit of this sunlight leak into the lens, hopefully to get a little bit of that glare look, which is going to give me a really cool, absolute, awesome banner image. There we go. Yep, works every time. Now there's a little known trick, which I'm hoping will be something that you haven't heard of, and it's called TCM, which means TTL Convert to Manual. And with most strobes that do TTL, that are made in the last few years, this is a feature that will as soon as you've got a TTL exposure that you like, with this R2 Nano trigger, you can switch it over to manual and it will lock it in. Because TTL can change based on what your camera and your flash thinks that it's looking at. So once you've shown that your exposure is great, the TTL did a good job, you tap the TTL over to manual and it should lock in at whatever the last setting that the flash fired at. So make sure that you check out the manual or any videos on your particular trigger to learn how to use TCM, that's TTL Convert to manual, because as soon as TTL gets it right, lock it in so it can't screw it up on the next shot, all right? Just one more time, I'm now locked in. Here we go. Beautiful. And now I want to come in for a couple of close-ups if that's cool. And there we go. We're going to get some wind blowing, nice and lifting that chin up. Wonderful. Lips gently together and then lift that chin. Perfect. Turn your head a little bit that way. Perfect. All right. Real determination, like you got to go do 400 burpees. Oh, no, that's no, that'd kill a person, wouldn't it? All right. And now I'm going to move one more time. Take a step back and around to get a slightly different angle. And zooming in there. All right. I love the way that this mix of natural light and strobe is creating a really dynamic look to these images that you wouldn't be able to get with just available light. Tilt this way, Maud, a little bit. Chin forward and down. And we got it. Okay. So just a couple of quick and easy ways to use one strobe to add to your available light. All you have to do is find some decent light and shade to work with it, and then use that TTL feature, measure the light, set your camera to that, then underexpose it by a little bit, and then let that flash pop in there. And if it does a good job using that TTL feature, pop it over in a manual with TCM to lock it in. So that's all there is to it. A couple of quick, easy 60-second setups that'll help you get better off-camera flash images when you're on location in a tough spot. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to check the link in the description for all of the gear that I used in this video, including the Fujifilm GFX 100S2 and the 28-inch Beauty Dish, the Explorer 600 Pro TTL2, and anything else that I happen to touch or use in this video. Do my very best to make sure it gets in there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.